from Switchcraft 2501MP to SO239 and back. This is the documentation of the experience of a hobby project, available in video and in written form, made with the hope that it could be helpful to others. But any comment that could help me to improve my practice is welcome and appreciated. In the 1950s, it was common for some types of equipment made in the USA to use coaxial connectors for their probes, which are known as Switchcraft 2501. Nowadays, this type of socket is considered a vintage microphone connector. It is relatively expensive, and at the moment, there seem to be no adapters available. A common electrical restoration of one piece of equipment built using Switchcraft connectors, especially if the original probes are lost, implies the replacement of those original connectors, typically using BNCs, because they would fit in the original holes in the panel. However, that would change the aesthetics significantly because a BNC socket is much thinner than a Switchcraft one. As an example, this is a Hefkit SG8 signal generator with 3 Switchcraft connectors that are aesthetically very important in the faceplate of the unit. Replacing them with BNC connectors would definitely ruin the look of this beautiful piece of equipment. In terms of size, the most suitable alternative to a connector, Switchcraft 2501MP, would be an SO239, which would also be period appropriate. However, the installation of a typical panel connector SO239 would require enlarging the original hole at the very least. Here is proposed a solution, using instead an adapter SO239 to F-type coaxial connector, commonly used for satellite television reception. The idea is to use the side with the female F-type connector to lock the adapter to the panel, leaving outside the female SO239 connector. This requires finding a nut that could fit with the F-type connector thread. The F-type connector has a 3/8-32 UNEF thread, but one could find nuts only with a thread type 3/8-24 UNF. Therefore, they have the same diameter, but a different number of threads per inch, 32 versus 24, respectively. The plan is to use a die to adapt the thread of the F-type connector. The following clips show the process at normal speed, and they should be self-explanatory. However, this is not the right way of doing it, and these clips are kept only for fun. In the next section, there is the explanation and a better solution. So please don't do this. Sometimes things can be very easy, but we cannot immediately see the correct solution. Also, a BNC connector is threaded 3/8-32 UNEF, and its nut could be used for fixing our adapter on a panel without the need of rethreading it. It is important to observe that the nut cannot travel up to the end. Therefore, it is necessary to use extra spacers. These are copper washers with an external diameter of 14 millimeters. One piece of copper wire. 1 millimeter diameter is necessary for making a solderable terminal. One end of the copper wire is tinned, and then some resin is melted and attached to it. The tinned copper wire should be inserted while the solder melts. Some extra solder is put on top to ensure a better result. The superficial residues of resin are removed. Some insulation is added to the terminal wire for just a few millimeters. The result must be checked with a multimeter. The connection of the terminal wire should be effective, and there should be no short. This is a signal generator that still has an original Switchcraft connector, while another one was replaced with a BNC. The BNC connector will be removed, and the SO239 adapter will be installed in its place. The adapter has a large neck that does not get through the original hole on the panel. The two copper washers are used to fill the gap. Here is the result comparing the look of the same item with the different connectors. It appeared later that there is a way to fabricate an adapter for Switchcraft panel connectors because they have the same diameter and thread of a PL259. Therefore, it would be possible to shorten the central contact of a PL259 and hook to these old microphone connectors. Here is the construction of an adapter for BNC test leads in a slightly accelerated video clip. The body of the BNC socket is soldered to the PL259 connector. The central terminal is soldered. It is important that the solder flows down inside the terminal so that it fills the bottom part of it. The central terminal is shortened, keeping about 3–4 millimeters only. Two nylon washers of the right internal diameter are inserted. Each of these washers is 1 millimeter thick. The residue of the center terminal is still a little bit too long. It is reduced at the height of the two nylon washers, which is 2 millimeters in total. Then the washers are glued to the body of the connector, and the adapter is almost completed. The two protruding serrations of the original PL259 plug are cut off to avoid damaging the microphone connector. Considering that the connectors Switchcraft 2501 MP are still available from online distributors, it would also be possible to revert a previous adaptation if one cares of the original look, but still keeping the functionality of the piece of equipment.